Have you ever wondered why being around too many people leaves you feeling drained, restless, or even spiritually suffocated? Why crowds feel loud even when no one is speaking, and why your soul seems to retreat in places where everyone else feels at home? If this has been your experience, you're not imagining things, and you're not alone. Because the real chosen ones, the ones marked with the letter M and the Crescent Moon, were never designed to walk among the many. Their energy, their spirit, their calling are simply too rare to be carried through crowded paths. Maybe you've spent years trying to silence this inner conflict. You told yourself to be more social, to just fit in. You've laughed when you didn't feel joy. You've stayed in rooms that made your chest heavy. You've followed the crowd, even when everything inside you screamed to turn around. But what if I told you that this discomfort was never a flaw? That this invisible tension was actually a spiritual signal, a mark upon your life that few carry and even fewer understand. Some people were made to blend in. You were not. The ones with the invisible seal, the M, in the palm, the crescent moon in the skin, the heightened sensitivity of soul, were sent here for something greater. And when heaven chooses someone for that kind of mission, the first thing it does is separate them, not to punish, but to protect. That's why your path feels so narrow, why people disappear without warning, why what works for others always seems misaligned for you. It's not rejection. It's refinement, preparation, proof that you carry something sacred. And if as you hear these words you feel something awakening, a quiet yes rising from your chest, take this moment seriously. This is not entertainment. It's remembrance. Type the number 111 in the comments right now. That number is a spiritual confirmation, a symbol of alignment, of purpose, of divine timing. By writing it, you're saying, I know who I am marked, I am ready. And if you haven't subscribed yet, do it now. Here, every message is created for souls like yours, not the many, but the few. By subscribing, you're not following a channel. You're answering a call. Now take a deep breath, because everything you're about to discover will help you understand why your life has always felt different, and why that difference was never a mistake. There is a reason you've always felt the need to withdraw. A reason why certain environments seem to dim your spirit, why crowded rooms feel like mazes where your soul forgets how to breathe, and why surface-level conversations leave you feeling hollow instead of connected. It's not because you are antisocial, difficult, or too sensitive. It's because your spirit was never meant to move with the many. There is a mark on your life, sometimes visible, sometimes not. Some carry it etched into the palm, forming what looks like the letter M. Others have a small arc in their skin that resembles the crescent moon. But far beyond the surface, the truest signs are spiritual. They are found in your patterns of awareness, in your depth of feeling, in the unexplainable way you just know when something isn't right, even when everyone else is blind to it. These signs are not accidents. They are codes, sacred imprints, left by the Creator, woven into your soul long before you took your first breath. They tell heaven, this one is mine, this one is on assignment. You were chosen not for comfort, but for calling. And calling always begins with separation. This is why your life often feels like a series of exits. You're pulled away from people who seem good. You're drawn toward silence when the world screams for attention. Opportunities fade just as they begin to sparkle. But behind it all, there's a hand, unseen but intentional, guiding you into a kind of sacred solitude. Before you lead, you must listen. Before you shine, you must be shielded. Before you walk in authority, you must learn the sound of truth beneath the noise of the world. And that learning doesn't happen in the crowd. It happens in the quiet. It happens in the ache of watching others gather while you stand alone. It happens in the confusion of wondering why you're always outside. Outside the group, outside the celebration, outside the plan. But let this truth sink in. You are outside because you are set apart. The real chosen ones are not seen immediately. They are hidden first, because the light they carry cannot be exposed to noise too early, because the mission they hold must be protected until they are strong enough to carry it with clarity. And yes, at times this process will feel unfair. You'll see others thrive in places that drain you. You'll wonder if you've been forgotten. But listen closely. Your isolation is not abandonment. It is divine preservation. Heaven knows the weight of what you carry, and it refuses to let your spirit be crushed by environments that were never built to hold someone like you. So when people leave without explanation, when doors close before you even reach them, when you find yourself walking alone again and again, don't call it loss, call it alignment. God removes what doesn't match your mission. He silences the noise so you can finally hear his voice. And he narrows your path, not to punish you, but to guide you through it with purpose. Because real power never enters through the front gate. It slips in quietly. It moves through silence. It is born in hidden places, and so were you. Since your earliest memories, you've probably felt it. That subtle ache, that quiet awareness, that unshakable sense that you don't quite belong. Not fully, not completely. It follows you like a shadow. Not loud enough to paralyze you, but deep enough to make every room feel like a test. You laugh when others laugh. You show up when expected. You try to fit in. But something inside you stays untouched, standing at a distance, always watching. This is not a wound. It's not a character flaw. It's not a sign that something is wrong with you. It's a whisper of who you are. The truth is, many of the chosen walk through life carrying this hidden sorrow. Why can't I feel at home anywhere? While others dive into conversations with ease, you pause. Not because you don't care, but because you feel everything. While others bond quickly, you observe, not out of judgment, but because your spirit is scanning the room for something real, something safe. And often, it's not there. This sensitivity, this distance, this otherness you feel has never been accidental. It's part of your design, and it hurts because your soul remembers something the world has forgotten. Truth, depth, purpose, and purity. You try to explain it to people. You try to express why some crowds drain you, why small talk makes your heart feel heavy, why certain environments make your body tense even if nothing bad is happening. But they don't get it. They think you're shy, or cold, or dramatic. They don't see that your soul is discerning things they can't even sense. And this is one of the loneliest feelings in the world, because it's not about being alone physically. It's about being unseen spiritually. You could be sitting in a full room, surrounded by people who love you, and still feel like a stranger. You could be celebrated, included, even praised, and still feel like your real self is waiting outside the door, unseen and untouched. Why? Because your spirit vibrates on a different frequency. You are tuned to something higher. And when you try to merge with what's out of alignment with that vibration, your entire being resists. Your discomfort is your protection. That ache of not belonging, it's a holy compass. It points you away from the spaces not meant for you, and toward the ones that were designed with your soul in mind. It's the whisper of heaven saying, not here, not this. Keep searching. You are sacred, and not every room deserves you. Yes, it's painful. Yes, it's exhausting. And yes, there are days when you wish you could just shut it off and be normal. But if you did, you would lose the very gift that makes you who you are. Because this ache is what keeps your heart soft. It's what makes your eyes see beyond the surface. It's what draws you toward truth when the world is chasing pleasure. It's also what pushes people away sometimes, not because they hate you, but because they don't know how to stand beside someone carrying so much light. And so you walk alone. But hear this, you walk alone because you are being led. You were never meant to settle in the comfort of the crowd. You were meant to be set apart, to search deeper, to see clearer, to love harder, to carry things most hearts can't hold. And one day, if it hasn't happened already, you will enter a space, hear a voice, or meet a soul that recognizes you instantly. Not the version you show the world, but the real you, the marked one, the chosen one. Until then, trust. The ache. It's your spirit telling you this isn't it, but something greater is coming. In a world that celebrates emotional control, surface-level strength, and logic over intuition, being deeply sensitive can feel like a liability. From an early age, you may have heard it. You're too sensitive. You overthink everything. You take things too personally. And maybe, for a while, you believed them. Maybe you tried to harden yourself. You tried to brush things off, to stop feeling so much, to numb the parts of you that felt too exposed. But no matter how you tried to bury it, your sensitivity refused to die. Because it was never a flaw. It was a gift. Yes, a gift. A divine one. Your ability to feel deeply, to sense what's unspoken, to detect spiritual shifts, to carry awareness in places others are asleep is not weakness. It is your spiritual armor. It is the radar heaven placed inside of you to protect your purpose. Long before someone speaks, your body already knows the truth. Before danger takes form, your spirit feels the shift. You can walk into a room and instantly sense if it's safe or heavy, whether the energy is clean or chaotic. And while others brush off that unease, you carry it. It stays in your chest, in your head, in your breath. This is not just being emotional, it's spiritual discernment. It's the language of your soul speaking before your mind has time to explain. It's how God whispers, not here, not them, not now. And yes, it's exhausting. Because when you're that spiritually tuned, you don't just feel your own emotions. You absorb the pain of those around you. You sense their sorrow, their frustration, even their deception, sometimes before they're even aware of it themselves. You may find yourself needing to leave gatherings early. You may feel drained after conversations that seemed normal to everyone else. You may even wonder why your body reacts, with headaches, anxiety, or heaviness in certain places around certain people, with no logical explanation. That's your gift at work. The world calls it sensitivity. Heaven calls it discernment in motion. But here's the truth. If you don't learn how to honor and protect this gift, it can turn against you. What was meant to guide you will overwhelm you. What was meant to sharpen your spirit will drain your strength. And that's why God often pulls you into solitude. To cleanse your frequency, to recalibrate your energy, to restore your spiritual clarity. So no, you are not too much. You are tuned in. And that tuning is your protection, your compass, your calling card. It allows you to sense deception before it poisons you. It pulls you away from what looks right but feels wrong. And most importantly, it leads you directly toward divine alignment. If this message resonates with your spirit, if you've ever felt overwhelmed by your sensitivity but now see it as a deeper power, comment the number 111 right now. That number is your agreement with heaven. I will no longer apologize for my gift. I will protect it. I will walk with it. Type 111 as a declaration that your discernment is not just valid, it's vital. There comes a moment, often more than once, when everything around you goes quiet. People stop calling, opportunities vanish. The doors you were sure would open suddenly lock. You look around and feel as if the world is moving forward without You. And the silence becomes loud. The loneliness becomes weighty. The questions begin to whisper. Did I miss something? Am I being punished? Why does it feel like I've been pushed aside? But what if this silence is not absence? What if this loneliness is not rejection? What if this isolation is divine? You see, when God calls someone for something sacred, something weighty, something eternal, he doesn't begin with applause. He begins with isolation. He pulls you away, not to punish, but to protect. He removes you from the noise, not to hurt you, but to help you hear. Because the voice you will need for your mission cannot be heard in the crowd. It is found in the stillness. The wilderness has always been the training ground of the chosen. Moses was isolated. David was hidden. Joseph was forgotten. Jesus himself was led into the desert. Why? Because the desert is where the distractions die. It's where the soul is stripped of dependency on people, on approval, on comfort, so that all that remains is the voice that truly matters. In this place, the familiar fades. The paths you relied on vanish. Even the version of yourself you once clung to begins to fall away, and that is exactly the point. God is not interested in launching you into your calling before you are grounded in truth. He knows that premature exposure destroys what has not been prepared. So he hides you. He silences the noise. He removes what isn't rooted, not because you're being punished, but because you are being preserved. Isolation is not exile. It's a fortress. A sacred space where heaven works quietly without the eyes of the world watching. Here you are sharpened. Here you are tested. Here your spirit is rewired to hear what others cannot, and to walk where others dare not. It doesn't feel like growth. It feels like loss. But in heaven's eyes, this is where you're expanding most. It doesn't feel like forward motion. It feels like stillness. But in heaven's timing, this is acceleration. Because it's not just about getting there. It's about being ready when you do. And so the walls stay up, the calls don't come, the opportunities stay quiet. Until the moment arrives, when your roots are deep enough, your ears are clear enough, and your identity is anchored enough for the unveiling to begin. This is why so few walk this path. Because it's lonely, because it's misunderstood, because it feels like waiting in the dark. But only those who have walked through this darkness with God emerge with a light that cannot be shaken. So if you're in this season right now, if you feel like life has pressed pause, like heaven has gone silent, remember this: you are not forgotten. You are not forsaken. You are being forged. Let this isolation complete its work. Because when the sending comes, you will be ready. The greatest power is never given to those who seek it. It is entrusted to those who have been refined enough to carry it without breaking. And this refinement, this holy process of stripping, shaping, and strengthening, is not gentle. It is fire. It is pressure. It is silence that echoes. It is being stretched until your soul trembles, and still choosing to stay open. By now, you've walked through separation. You've endured the ache of not belonging. You've faced the wilderness. But all of that was not the end. It was preparation for what comes next, the forging of unshakable clarity and the birth of spiritual authority. See, God doesn't give real authority to those who haven't first survived the crushing. Why? Because power in the hands of the unrefined becomes pride. But power in the hands of the broken but risen becomes healing, and that's who you are becoming. In refinement, God burns away everything false. He removes the need for validation. He silences the hunger for applause. He trains your eyes to see the difference between what glitters and what is truly gold. He takes the sword of your voice and sharpens it, not for performance, but for purpose. This is why the chosen speak less, but their words carry more. Why they walk quietly, but shift the atmosphere when they enter a room. Because refinement teaches you not to waste your fire. You begin to discern what deserves your attention and what does not. What looks like opportunity but is actually a distraction. What appears good but is not aligned with your mission. And that discernment becomes your authority. People will look at you and not understand where your peace comes from. how you remain grounded when others shake, how you move slowly but powerfully. It is because you've walked through the valley where most lose themselves, and you found your name there. In this place, your spirit no longer reacts. It responds. You no longer strive, you discern, you no longer beg to be seen. You know you are sent. And this stillness, this clarity, this quiet certainty is your crown. It is not made of gold. It is not loud. But heaven recognizes it. The darkness respects it, and the world begins to feel it. Because when a refined soul speaks, it doesn't just talk, it activates, it awakens, it shifts timelines and destinies. So if you've wondered why life has broken you down again and again, if you've looked at your scars and questioned whether they disqualified you, understand this now. Your scars are not signs of failure. They are the proof that you were chosen to carry something that cannot be bought or taught. They are the evidence that your roots run deeper than the storm. And from this place, this sacred stillness forged by heaven, you now walk with the most powerful gift of all. Clarity that cannot be shaken and authority that cannot be stolen. There comes a moment, not when the pain disappears or the questions vanish, but when you stop running from who you are and finally turn to face it. The sensitivity, the separation, the strange inner knowing, the invisible marks, all of it. You stop calling it too much. You stop wishing you were someone else. And for the first time, you look at your reflection and honor what heaven placed inside you. This is sacred acceptance. Not the passive kind that says it is what it is, but the holy kind that says, I see now. I was never broken. I was being shaped. There is a deep peace that enters the soul the moment we stop apologizing for our design. When we stop trying to blend in with what was never meant to receive us. When we stop asking for permission to be what we were already chosen to become. Because, until you accept who you are, fully, unapologetically, reverently, your mission cannot activate in its fullness. You cannot lead while still hiding. You cannot carry light while still dimming yourself for others' comfort. You cannot step forward while still questioning if you're worthy. And the truth is, you are not just worthy, you were built for this. Every moment of isolation was strategy. Every ache of not belonging was refinement. Every spiritual whisper you've heard in secret was preparation. Every scar, every silence, every mark, visible or not, was part of the code written into you by the divine. You are not here by accident. You are not listening to these words by coincidence. You are standing in the threshold of remembrance. Now the question is, will you continue to carry your light as a secret? Or will you finally let it rise? Sacred acceptance is not about ego. It's about alignment. It's about saying, yes, God, I see what you placed in me, and I will no longer deny it. The world may not understand you, but it doesn't have to. Heaven already does, and that is enough. Let this quiet knowing settle in your chest. Let it guide your next step. Not in fear, not in hesitation, but in the quiet authority of someone who finally remembers who they are. Now that the silence has spoken, now that the ache has been named, now that the light within you has been honored instead of hidden, there is no going back. You can no longer pretend you are unaware. You cannot unsee the signs. You cannot unknow the truth that has unfolded before you. You are not like the many, because you were never meant to be. The path you've walked, the distance, the pain, the strange delays, the invisible weight, was never random. It was not punishment. It was preparation. Every closed door was divine protection. Every season of isolation was a spiritual fortress. Every moment of not belonging was heaven's reminder that your place was never meant to be among the crowd, but in sacred alignment with your calling. You were hidden to be preserved. You were refined to be trusted. You were separated so that, when the time came, you would be unmistakable. And now, here in this moment, you stand fully seen, not by the world, but by heaven. You're no longer in waiting. You are walking in awakening. Let go of every lingering doubt. Release the need to explain yourself to those who cannot see what you carry. Your validation does not come from their understanding. It comes from the one who marked you before time itself. You have walked through the narrow path. You have faced the desert. You have endured the refining fire. And now, something within you has settled. Not in defeat, but in conviction. You no longer move with fear. You move with discernment. You no longer seek approval. You walk in quiet authority. And as you move forward, your steps will echo differently. Not because you are louder, but because you are aligned. Not because you seek attention, but because you carry presence. The kind of presence that cannot be taught, only forged, only lived, only recognized by the Spirit. Let every choice you make now reflect that knowing. Let your boundaries reflect the protection of your mission. Let your solitude be filled with strength. Let your sensitivity guide, not burden you. Let your silence speak louder than your explanations. You do not need to convince the world of who you are. You only need to walk as someone already recognized by heaven. There is a difference between being chosen and knowing you are. And now you know. Let that knowing be your compass. Let it burn quietly in your chest. Let it carry you forward, not as one who is searching, but as one who has awakened. Your mission is not just ahead of you, it's already within you. And from this moment on, your steps are not just movement, they are declaration. You are not here to blend in. You are not here to be accepted. You are here to shift the atmosphere, to bring light into places that forgot how to shine, to walk as evidence that the divine still speaks and still sends. You were marked, you were tested, you were hidden, and now you are ready. If something in your soul has been confirmed today, something only you and heaven could recognize, comment the number 1 to 11. It's more than a number. It's a declaration. I remember who I am. I accept my mission. And if you haven't yet, subscribe now. This is not just another video. It's part of your alignment. Here, every message is a map, left for those who have been set apart.